Emails from the bosses of the gaming industry's biggest console makers have been released. Find out what was said behind closed doors. Up next. What up guys, this is Kalo and I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content, drop a like on the video, and welcome to the Level Up. So, at the time of this recording, there has been no word whatsoever in regards to the FTC versus Microsoft trial. But these emails between Xbox's boss Phil Spencer and PlayStation's boss Jim Ryan shed more light on where the two stand in regards to the merger. Now, it's pretty much no secret that throughout the trial, Sony has not been a fan of the merger, and they still refuse to sign a deal with Microsoft to keep Call of Duty multi-platform. But the emails that have been shared recently shed more light as to why Sony has yet to put pen to paper. The short answer to all this is Sony has a steep list of demands, but let's break this all down. And I will be sure to post the actual emails in this video, and you can pause to read the whole thing, but like I always do, I'm gonna paraphrase this all. The emails in question pretty much reveal 4 major demands that Jim Ryan wants Microsoft to meet. Up first is price and content parity, which basically means all Activision Blizzard games will continue to launch on PlayStation and remain equal with Xbox. Number 2, PlayStation Plus must be treated equal to Game Pass. And according to Jim Ryan himself, unequal treatment of services will result in unequal availability of Activision Blizzard games. Moving on to number 3. They will remove any and all financial marketing contracts that Activision and Sony previously negotiated. And the last point here, which is pretty much more or less Jim Ryan trying to get everything he can here. But he had similar concerns with Bethesda content and wants to reopen talks with Phil Spencer over those games as well to get them back on PlayStation. To me, these demands are huge and outrageous in all regards, considering how I don't see PlayStation extending their games like Spider-Man 2 to Xbox. Because, like Jim Ryan said, it would be right for all gamers. But it's been pretty clear that Sony has been a cutthroat developer since the PlayStation 1 days. And we haven't even talked about, at least on this channel, what they did to Sega. But now Microsoft has a lot more money than Sega, and it's different when you buy a developer at the price that Microsoft did. Like I said in prior videos, you don't make an acquisition like they did without some ulterior motives. And I would like to think at least one of them would be making some of those games console exclusives. I also just find it hilarious how Jim Ryan was demanding Xbox to either release Activision Blizzard content on PlayStation Plus day one, much like Game Pass, or don't do any day one releases at all. And to kind of harp back to the trial real quick, Sony and Jim Ryan did voice concerns over Xbox Game Pass. And it's clear they just don't want Microsoft to release Activision Blizzard titles day one on Game Pass, because that in and of itself would lure users to Game Pass instead of paying PlayStation that $70 price tag. Now the question here is that bad for consumers or just bad for PlayStation's business model? Spoiler, it's bad for PlayStation. Again, pro-competition and pro-consumer. Phil Spencer then replied to these emails by stating, quote, "I continue to stand behind the written agreement I sent you on January 31st, 2022, with my signature memorializing our commitment to Sony. The agreement would keep all existing Activision console titles on Sony, including future versions of the Call of Duty franchise or any other current Activision franchises on Sony throughout December 31st, 2027. That includes content and feature parity, as well as making it clear that we would not feature any timed exclusive releases on such content on Xbox consoles." He continued, "It's hard to align principles set in your email on May 26, 2022, with Sony's leading role in the market. As I said before, we believe that keeping these titles on Sony as we did with Minecraft is the right thing for the industry and for gamers." So he did decline Jim Ryan's offer here, and it's clear Sony wants more. But what's interesting here is Phil Spencer's response, especially when he brought up current Activision franchises that will be multi-platform until 2027, and this is excluding World of Warcraft. So, what happens after that? Of course, Call of Duty will remain multi-platform, but what about other franchises? Like Crash Bandicoot, Diablo, Spyro, and potentially unnamed or future IPs. Overall, one thing I see clear as day is Phil Spencer is all about Game Pass, and Sony fears that. But with Sony being the clear market leader, that's the one way Microsoft can compete. And with all that being said, I'm gonna pass this question off to you guys. Is it just me, or all the demands that Jim Ryan is making right now just overstepping? But that about does it here. I've been KLO. I gave you the lowdown on all things gaming, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video, and this has been the Level Up.